Hey everyone, here's a rematch between me and KSS. Last video, if you guys haven't seen it, we had a great 60 Grassy game that was pretty back and forth, and we did play a few games, and here was another match that we did as part of a little series. So, at this point, I don't know what KSS is running, and you'll notice that now I have KSS's costume from last video, but I don't have the little, I don't know if it was a staff or something that you need an achievement for that I don't have, so that's kind of lame. So yeah, he gets into that tree and summons a swarm where I can't really deal with it. I decide that I can just drain it and take the sink. This is something that, you know, DX has told me about, that is sometimes worth it to just squash the momentum of your opponent, just crush it. You don't have anything, you just do a trade. So he summons a swarm, I kill the swarm. Yeah, I get knocked, but at least now, when he traps me, it's not going to be so oppressive. Like, he can't ice shield and swarm here because his swarm is on cooldown. So it was a bit unfortunate that he could just blast from the pass me off. If I could have prevented that somehow, I would have, but I don't know if that was possible. So he traps me in, summons the spirit, and I sanctuary. And at this point, like, if I'm in the sanctuary, I'm not worried about that spirit right there. So I'm chilling. I'm expecting him to, I don't know, maybe shield. I don't think he has many minions on cooldown right now, because it's turn 4. He might have Pegasus up. So he decides to bring his Storm Spirit to the side. He probably didn't have enough room. So he protection shields, and then I tree him just because I want to limit his movement, and then I get a Pegasus out. And here I'm just thinking, alright, clearly he doesn't want to detower me, which is fine. I can just sit in my tower and summon a bunch of minions. He makes a nice play here to cut off my space. I just decide to start to chip down the tree with the swarm. And now, as you can see, like, he has a lot more space, but he also is allowing me to set up, right? And so if he just allows me to get a setup on this little side area, even if it's way small, then he's going to not be encouraged to, you know, flash that space open or, you know, pebble through. So I reveal the Rain of Fire. It actually, you know, hits the swarm into him. And I also get a man trap out. I was thinking about, I do have Arcane Egg. I was thinking about putting an Arcane Egg right there. But then I thought, okay, he can just blast from the past and drain it. So I decided to do man trap first and then an egg. He pulls out the Dark Knight. And, you know, I don't know, it's difficult because he let me get a little bit too much setup. So there's not really any smaller plays that he could make at this point. Because if he had an aerial, he could, you know, kill my swarm, maybe kill my egg too. But since he doesn't, now he's really behind because he let me get the setup. So he uses a Rain of Fire blocker. He just puts the Pegasus up above his head. And here I tree here. I didn't really have a move. And kind of panicked. I do have a move. I probably could have just treed this tree so that he can't get through and kill the swarm. But I didn't think of that in the moment. I was just kind of thinking, oh, let me limit the movement of his Pegasus or something. So I just dropped this random tree in the middle of the map. So if I were to change anything about that game, it'd probably be that move, because yeah, I'm not sure what I was doing there. So he charges through, solid play, and I notice that I have enough minions to kind of block his Dark Knight from coming to charge me. So I think, okay, let me put the baby dragon there, and then I can, deal with the Storm Spirit. But then I thought, oh, let me just block with the Pegasus and kill the Storm Spirit. Makes for a better momentum shifter. Or not momentum shifter, but I just am able to, kill one of his minions and gain tempo, I guess. So he kills my Pegasus. I knew that that was going to happen. And right there, you noticed I jumped from the Pegasus just barely so that I wasn't getting clipped on the top of the border. Pretty cool. I don't know what turn it was because it's kind of glitching, but yeah, right here. So I jumped from right there-ish, high jump, just to like barely fit on the top and not clip right there, to not clip the edge, and I was pretty proud of that. I've done it only once in another game where it was like pretty much mandatory that you had to make sure to fit. And I don't have flight, so I can't just like flight up against the Pegasus and jump over. But anyway, I'm able to just barely squeeze through and jump over, which is pretty clutch. And because I can do that, I can just, take away his shields. Again, just gaining tempo. His Dark Knight's now trapped, which is huge. So, at this point, I'm thinking, okay, is he going to run away and summon another minion? Is he going to be aggressive? He decides to Pebble here, and I'm thinking I probably want to like trap him somehow, or maybe I'm gonna run away and summon a minion if I don't have a way to trap. I decided it's a bit precarious to trap, so I just use an early game strategy, just run away, summon a swarm. Because in this book I don't have Ice Shield, and it's not really a good angle to Vine Bridge there. So I summon a swarm, he makes a good play, he traps it. And at this point, like, his Dark Knight's not in the game, so I'm not too worried about actually losing my health until he can, get to me. So I decide to just get a little bit of, not a little bit, actually quite a bit of chip damage there on the Dark Knight, or I guess damage, it's not really chip. So I hit it with the baby dragon, the Rar. So he makes a nice play, traps my baby dragon, and at this point I'm like, okay, that's gonna be a dead slot for a bit. I might just have to deal with it for now. Here, I make a pretty nice play. I'm able to kill the Dark Knight, and I can rewind that too. Let's see. Oh, I went to the turn before. Alright, there we go. So I'm gonna go over here and Rain of Fire, but I'll just show you guys, like, so when you use Rain of Fire, what happens is you can target it on the minion. One fireball will hit that minion, so it'll do 25 damage. So if I click right here, it does 25 damage. But I know there's a little bit of an AoE to the Rain of Fire, so I move it. I like target it like right there. So you notice that fireball right there was a little bit to the left of the DK. This is where I targeted it. And then if I target it here, then the AoE from the second fireball will also hit the Dark Knight. And so they'll both do 25 and they'll kill it. So kind of a subtle detail. I didn't know if it was going to work. I just thought, oh, if one fireball does 25 straight on, I move the cursor over a little bit, maybe the AoE kills the Dark Knight. And worked out, and so that's a huge tempo play. So he summons Pegasus, traps me in here. We just kind of exchange minion summoning. I just want to trap his Pegasus with a minion. I choose Egg here, because if you have Egg in your book, why not use it? I don't have Spirit either, so because I don't have a flight in this book. Again, here I'm not too worried because his Dark Knight's dead. This is interesting. He swarms, which is not a bad play, but I actually choose to hatch this little dragon, this cute dragon hatchling, and I noticed that this hatchling actually has flash and 2 arcane glyphs. So I can swarm his swarm and then flash that spot open, deflight him, kill his swarm, and trap his Pegasus. So a pretty multifaceted move there, which is kind of sweet. Never used that hatchling to a great effect before in previous games. So yeah, as you can see, his Pegasus is trapped, and he doesn't have much to do here besides Storm Shield. Now I can get out, but first I decide I'm going to just swarm the Pegasus, trap it again, and now I'm thinking I do have Tree here, but it's a little bit cramped. I don't think treeing here is a good idea because it limits my space too. So I just decide to remove his shield. If he pebbles, he can. If he doesn't, then I can just chill and keep summoning more minions. So he makes a good play, is able to escape from my baby dragon hatchling. And he traps me with the Pegasus, and it's just going to limit my swarm movement. I don't have an immediate plan to free that. I decide to not allow any shenanigans with the Pegasus. It's at 25 health. And I thought, well, in the future, he could undead it. And I didn't even want that to happen, so I just said, screw it, I'll drain it. Just to remove that threat entirely. So he decides to, again, employ a popular 60 Grassy strategy, just run away and summon a minion. Unfortunately, he should have summoned it like in here, somewhere, because I'm able to get that Rain of Fire off. And he told me after the game, he's never really faced me with this book before, and he got a bit confused about like that I would have Rain of Fire or that I would have Sanctuary, and would just kind of forget sometimes. And so yeah, knowing your opponent's book, or not knowing their book necessarily, but being able to anticipate a series of moves to ask like, oh, what if they have Sanctuary, or what if they have Sky Ray, or what if they have Rain of Arrows, things like that is important. So he pulls out the swarm. I position that little hatchling there just in case he would try to walk up. He can't walk up through the hatchling. And I decide to just detower and kill the swarm. I put the hatchling on top of me just to prevent any flash shenanigans. The physics are a bit weird when you have a minion on top of you and you're flashed. It can still sometimes work, but it just reduces the chance that it would work a little bit. So he decides to trap me. Here's a little bit interesting. I just go for the drain. You might think, oh, he's trapping you, that's dangerous. But it's only really dangerous if he has Dark Knight out. Like, what's the maximum damage that he can do? 80? And he's in there with me, so he's not going to shock bomb himself necessarily. So I just decide to drain spam, and I'm like, okay, trap me, fine. I try to escape here, and it doesn't quite work out. I notice he has that spirit there, and he has Storm Shield, so I'm not in a position where I can Sanctuary it off. So I decide to trap that spirit. Because his damage is Storm Spirit and Shock Shield, Shock Bomb. So that's how he's going to win, if he wins. And my win con is actually still Dark Knight. He traps me with a couple Pegasus, and here I think is a good opportunity to, gain some tempo and pull out my own Dark Knight, because his shock shield is going to be absorbed by the Pegasus, and so he can't kill it in one turn. He does actually get out, which is a great play, but now he has to deal with that Dark Knight. We'll see how he does it. He decides to tower. That's the definition of just wasting a move. You don't have a play that you can make to, go over to the side or something. So I decide here, rather than charging his tower, I get this nice triple drain. Actually, was it almost quadruple, because I hit myself too, which is not a huge issue because he doesn't have a lot of damaging spells. So I get that juicy drain from the Dark Knight. He gets an unfortunate shock bomb lob that doesn't quite go his way. Probably not worth it to do it in that case. I might have just storm shielded again. Because he shock bombs, and if it hits my Dark Knight is still at 113, and it's not like he can deal with the 113 Dark Knight better than he can deal with the 193. Well, I know it's 80 health less, but like he can't kill the 113 HP Dark Knight in one shot, so I charge him down. A little bit of a subtle note is that I stood on top of the Dark Knight to try to trap him. I saw DX do that and I thought, oh, that's interesting. After the charge you can try to trap the player on top of yourself by just standing on the Dark Knight. So he ice shields me in and makes a nice tempo play to swarm this. And notice you can actually go and, let's see. Yeah, you can actually go to like 1, 2, 3, the 4th and 5th little ice ball up on the ice shield. Blast from the Past between them. Squeeze your DK in there and then move the Pegasus near it and it'll mount the Pegasus. So I'm able to actually get my DK free, which is a huge play. And then I can eliminate his momentum here, kill 2 minions for 1. 2 minions in 1 turn, which is nice. So now my game plan is just keeping the Dark Knight out and free, so that he has to continually respond over and over. Continually over and over. But he's thinking right now, he's not quite sure what he wants to do. He's gonna trap my Pegasus and yeah, he trees the Dark Knight here, which is a fine play. The issue with that at this point is that first I barely get out of that trap, which is not a huge deal, but secondly I can just charge out and then he has the same problem. So it's a 1-turn solution. Here I'm trying to position myself where he can't blast from the past me into a hole and trap me. And I don't know if he has blast from the past, but I didn't count in this game. I don't always count, I should, but so he is trying to come up with a way to stall more, pretty much. One option that he sees is possible is to just flight and protection shield, because one thing you should know is that like putting your Pegasus and Dark Knight up like right below the player and charging up, it's gonna do maybe like 100. It's not very good at all, sometimes even less than 100, because when the player loses the 50 health protection shield, they're gonna drop to the ground and the Dark Knight will be just charging the air. So I don't really have that as an option. One thing I thought about though is, can I mount my Pegasus, do an extended angle vine bridge, that's the sound that you just heard, like use Alt and extend the vine bridge to make a path to him, and then put the Dark Knight on that vine bridge and charge up and win the game. Unfortunately, the extend vine bridge doesn't work. So there's a mechanic where like you can extend spells when you're turning, like I'm facing to the right with the Pegasus, I can turn my player to the left and extend spells and shoot them through the mounted Pegasus without damaging myself. I thought that could work with the Vine Bridge, but unfortunately it doesn't. It does work with like other bolt spells though, like Napalm and other things. So that doesn't work. I'm slightly panicking, but I realize it's okay. I have Entangle, so I can go for an Entangle. I only had about 10 seconds left, probably 5 or even 3 at that very last moment. So I didn't have time to position myself to prevent a potential flash. It's a hard flash, and he almost gets it. He's about a couple player lengths off before bouncing me off the Pegasus. But even if he bounces me off the Pegasus here, I don't think it makes it all the way to the tree and then the swarm. So it was a tricky play. He kind of had to aim that flash just a little bit different to have a chance, but the flight kind of glitches out there a little bit. It happens when a player's entangled and they're flighted. When they lose it on the next turn, the flight animation kind of just flutters for a second there. Kind of funny. But I mean, the game's not over. He still has an opportunity to fight. He can trap my Pegasus, and now my Dark Knight is kind of out of commission. I have to figure out, okay, at what point can I bring that guy back into the game? Because if you have a 200 health Dark Knight on the field, no use in having it stuck in a pit. So he towers. I'm thinking, okay, do I just Pebble here? That would make the most sense. I thought, okay, I could charge the Dark Knight out, but he's so low on health that I felt like I could afford to do this, and then I have to just put the pressure back on him. Okay, what are you going to do, KSS? You've got 45 health, and I can free my Dark Knight in 1 turn. So you have exactly 1 turn to kind of figure out how to stall. He struggles a bit here with that, with going up the tree. Jumps a bunch of times, makes it over. Again, he's going to trap my Pegasus, summon another. Again, he's just trying to summon a bunch of minions, take up space. I do what I said I was going to do, just free the Dark Knight in 1 turn, and again he has to respond to this. And frankly, I don't see how he does it. I would say he probably has to teleport to the side, which he doesn't do, and so that potentially he misses an opportunity to just prolong the game. I decide to just kill his Pegasus, and again ask him, you know, what are you doing? What is the next move? He again struggles with that jump, which I just find hilarious. Love you, KSS, but that's just pretty funny to me. You could just go to this edge here and just long jump. I'm pretty sure that works. But he spams the high jump, maybe just to troll me. And makes a nice play here, traps the Dark Knight. The problem is, I was in that Ice Shield for a few turns, just acting like I didn't have a Blaster in the past. But I actually did. And I don't know, I didn't ask him, but you know, KSS, if you're watching, also I failed there. Oh my gosh, so karma, right? So I baited him to just like think that I didn't have a Blaster from the past, and then I used it. I come over, I put out that Vine Bridge just in case he moves a little bit. Like I don't want him to move down into the hole, and I miss my Pebbles, and then I just Pebble him for the win. So yeah, all in all, I was quite proud of this game. I felt like I played at a very high level, and for those of you interested, this was just a book that Nick Ray used in one of his past videos. It just has Sanctuary, Arcane Egg, and Generic stuff. No Ice Shield because I have Vine Bridge though. Also, you saw I pulled out Tangle there too. And then one Aerial, Rain of Fire just to deal with Swarms, Storm Spirits, and those are the main two use cases. I guess if the opponent has Egg too, you can kill an Egg with the Rain of Fire as well. So, yeah, I guess the takeaway from this game is I ran a little bit of a, not an offbeat book, but a book that KSS is not used to facing. And so in some instances he forgot, oh, I can just point and click a Rain of Fire and kill his minion. Or, oh, I can just move out from a trap and just Sanctuary and, you know, kill his shield. So that was one thing that he said after the game, is I wasn't able to anticipate your moves because I wasn't familiar with that book in the moment. And so, yeah, we were able to get a pretty strong win. Again, to prolong the game, I think he could have teleported to the left side of the map instead of stayed up top, because I can't get over there easily. I don't have flight. It's blocked off with a tree and Ice Shield, so that would have prolonged the game quite a bit. And it probably draws at that point if he goes to the side, because I don't have Storm Shield to kind of, you know, teleport under him and sink him. And I do have Pebble, which might be the win condition for me in that case. And of course my Dark Knight is still alive, but yeah, just to prolong the game, he could have gone to that left side there at the end. And to just keep things a little bit more close. So anyway, thought this was a great game. This was our rematch of the century is probably what I'll title this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, have a great week. See ya.